Hey there. Tonight, we're not heading to ancient Rome or medieval castles. No crowns, no scrolls, no swords. Tonight, you wake up on cold, hard ground, your back pressed into frozen earth, your breath turning to mist in the bitter air. You're not in a storybook. You're in the Ice Age. And let's be real, you probably wouldn't last a week. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And while you're at it, drop a comment with your local time and where you're listening from. Always fun to know who's drifting off in Tokyo or dozing in rural Texas. Now, dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Underscore 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 underscore. You wake to the ache of frozen joints. No mattress. Just dirt and rock. A thin animal pelt sticks to your shoulders, stiff with old sweat and grease. You've been sleeping in a crouched position to keep warm, knees drawn to your chest, arms wrapped around yourself like a half-frozen pretzel. The shelter you're in is more suggestion than structure. A frame made from mammoth bones and a patchwork of hides flapping in the wind. There's no door. No chimney. Just smoke swirling from last night's fire pit and a soft, persistent draft that never seems to go away. The sky outside is gray, permanently gray. Not the romantic kind, just the kind that says, it might snow again. Good luck. You sit up slowly, careful not to startle the others. Around you, a handful of Neanderthals are stirring, silent as stone. Nobody greets anyone. You don't chat in the morning. You grunt. Maybe nod. If someone looks at you too long, you grunt louder. Your stomach growls. Loudly. Last night's dinner was, let's be generous and call it minimalist. A few berries. A scrap of roasted root. One very unlucky rodent. You reach for your tools, because in this world, your toolkit is your lifeline. A stone knife worn down to a sliver. A fire-hardened digging stick. A leather pouch with dried sinew, a bit of tree resin, a pebble or two. Random things. But you know what each one does. There's no to-do list for today. No schedule. No meetings. But you know what needs to happen. You need to find food, you need to find warmth, and you need to avoid dying. Again. Outside, the wind howls like a bored ghost. You step out of the shelter, pulling your hide closer around your shoulders. The ground crunches underfoot, not snow, not ice, something worse, that half-frozen slush that sticks to your toes like regret. You see a small group already moving. Hunters, maybe. Or scouts. They don't look back. You're not sure if they even saw you. That's the thing about this time, people don't talk unless they have to. Conversation is a luxury. So is survival. You spot a raven circling in the sky. A few others screech and flap near the treetops. Not a good sign. Ravens mean death, or something close enough to it to get excited. A fresh carcass? Another tribe nearby? Either way, you'll be checking it out soon. You begin walking, slowly at first. Your legs ache from yesterday's hike, and your right foot still hurts from that time you kicked a rock thinking it was snow. Spoiler, it wasn't. The world around you is quiet in that heavy, oppressive way that makes you wonder if the planet itself is holding its breath. Gray hills stretch into the mist. No footprints. No paths. Just a memory of those who didn't make it through the night. You kneel near a rock, flipping it over with the tip of your stick. A few beetles skitter away. You're not above beetles. Not anymore. They're crunchy, full of protein, and, if you close your eyes, taste only slightly worse than disappointment. Historians still debate whether Neanderthals had a sense of planning or long-term memory the way modern humans do. Did they dream of tomorrow? Did they grieve yesterday? Or did they live entirely in the now, one cold, hungry breath at a time? You don't know. But right now, you know one thing: you're hungry, you're freezing, and there's something moving just beyond the ridge. You can hear it. So you grip your knife a little tighter and keep walking. The cold follows you back like a jealous ghost. You duck under the low flap of hide that marks the entrance to your shelter, if you can even call it that. It smells like smoke, old meat, and something vaguely animal. You've stopped noticing, mostly. But today, for some reason, it hits you harder. Maybe it's because you didn't find anything worth eating out there. Or maybe because someone else did. Inside, it's dim. The fire has dwindled to a few glowing coals, barely holding on. Someone should have fed it. No one did. You wonder who was supposed to be on fire duty last night. Not that there's a roster. But there's always someone who was supposed to, and it's never you. You settle down by the wall, well, by the edge where hide meets dirt. Your back touches a mammoth rib, worn smooth from years of leaning. You shift your weight, trying to get comfortable. You don't succeed. Nothing here is comfortable. At best, things are less awful than usual. There's a low grunt from the other side of the shelter. One of the older males is sharpening a hand axe with short, methodical scrapes. He doesn't look up. He never does. You've never heard him speak a full sentence. Just breathing, grunting, and the sound of flint on stone. But somehow, he knows everything. And he knows you came back empty-handed. Across from you, a young girl, barely old enough to stand without swaying, plays with a clump of fur. Her hair is matted, her face smeared with ash. She's muttering to herself in a rhythm that sounds almost like singing, but not quite. She ties the fur into knots, then undoes it, then ties it again. No one stops her. The silence is thick. Not peaceful. Just heavy. You glance at the others. There's a woman in the corner, chewing on something unidentifiable. Could be dried tendon. Could be yesterday's regret. Her eyes flick up to you briefly, then back down. That glance says a lot. It says, you didn't bring food. Again. And in a place like this, food is more than survival. Food is status. It's leverage. It's the only currency anyone understands. Whoever brings the meat decides who sits closest to the fire. Who gets the marrow? Who gets their broken leg tended to, and who doesn't? Today, that's not you. You shuffle closer to the embers, hoping someone will make space. No one does. You pretend not to care, but the chill creeping up your legs makes it clear you're either going to find a way to contribute soon, or become the group's next convenient scapegoat. A sharp smell catches your nose, burned fat. Someone outside is cooking something, and it's not roots. It smells like meat. Real meat. You try not to react, but your stomach lurches with hope, which is almost always a mistake. A moment later, one of the hunters strides in, head high, a strip of steaming flesh clutched in one dirty hand. His mouth is already full. He doesn't offer to share. He doesn't need to. He's earned his spot. The others make space for him without a word. Even the old man sharpening his axe nods, barely, but enough. The hunter drops the rest of his kill near the fire. A couple of others lean in, tearing small pieces off with their fingers and teeth. Not you. You don't move. If you crawl in now, they'll remember that you weren't out there helping. That you brought nothing back. That you're just here. So you wait. Maybe you'll be offered the bones. Maybe not. You're not important today. And this, you're learning, is part of being Neanderthal. Survival isn't just about weather or predators. It's about position. About when to move, when to speak, when to be completely still. About understanding that everything is watched, weighed, and remembered, even if no one has a word for it. The fire crackles softly. Someone throws a piece of dung on it for fuel. It flares up briefly with a smell that makes your eyes water. The little girl doesn't notice. She's still tying knots in silence. You catch yourself staring at her, wondering if she'll survive long enough to do anything else. To grow into one of the silent women who can gut a hare with a flake of stone and a dead stare. Or if she'll disappear one day like so many others, into the forest, into the snow, into the places no one speaks of. A shiver runs through you, not from the cold this time, but something heavier. Historians still argue over whether Neanderthal societies had formal leadership or complex social structures. But you're living it, and you can tell, there's hierarchy here. It's not written. It's not spoken. But it's there, in the heat of the fire, in who eats first, and who sleeps by the wall and who sleeps by the wind. You lean back, listening to the crackle, the chewing, the scraping. It's a symphony of survival. Not loud. Just steady. Relentless. And you think, tomorrow, you have to hunt. Even if it kills you. Because if you don't bring something back, you will be what's left out in the cold. You're out before the sun has fully decided whether it's showing up today. The air has that stillness, tight, brittle, like a string pulled too hard. It crackles against your skin. Every breath you take burns a little, as if the air itself is unimpressed with your lungs. No one speaks. There are 5 of you. All moving in a loose formation, like shadows barely tolerating one another. One of the older women leads, wiry, fast, with a jaw set like cracked stone. You've seen her kill with a thrown spear longer than she is tall. She's not here for company. You're bringing almost nothing. A few stone points tied to wooden shafts with sinew. A bone club. Some throwing rocks. You try not to think about how primitive it all feels, because in this world, primitive is just another word for efficient. Your feet ache already. The ground is frozen stiff, uneven, laced with half-covered roots and jagged rocks. Every step makes your legs complain. But you don't slow down. That's not an option. No one waits for the weak. You catch the scent before you see the signs: musk, dry dung, something bitter in the air. There were animals here. Recently. You crouch low with the others. The leader kneels, runs her fingers along a patch of flattened grass. A trail. 2 sets of tracks, big, heavy, wide-spaced. Could be reindeer. Maybe aurochs. Maybe worse. A decision is made silently. No discussion. Just a glance. You follow. Your breath fogs out in tight clouds as the forest thins. The trail takes you toward a ridge where the trees are gnarled and stunted. Snow clings to the branches like sleep-deprived ghosts. The light here never feels warm. Even the sun seems to be holding back, just a pale disk behind layers of cloud. And then, you hear it. A crack. Not from your group. Not wind. A real, organic crack. Something moving weight it shouldn't have. The leader raises her hand. Everyone stops. You crouch, slowly, trying to control your heartbeat, which is currently doing the drum solo from a bad rock concert. Through the brush, just barely, you see it. A beast. Tall, horned. Reindeer, maybe. Male. Alone. Its breath comes in thick clouds. It hasn't seen you yet. Now comes the hard part. You know what to do. You've seen it done, over and over. But this time, you are part of it. Not the watcher. Not the one left behind with the fire. You take a spear from your back. The tip is rough, barely balanced. You grip it tightly, feeling the cold through your fingers. The group begins to fan out, again, no words. You move left. Another hunter moves right. It's like a silent, deadly dance passed down not by instruction, but repetition. Your foot hits a twig. The reindeer jerks its head. Everything in the world stops breathing for 1 second. Then it bolts. What happens next is chaos disguised as strategy. You all break into a run. The reindeer is fast, so fast it's almost laughable. But it's not about speed. It's about direction. About funneling. About exhausting it. You dart between trees, slipping on hidden patches of ice. Your lungs burn. Your legs scream. At one point, you nearly fall into a snowdrift, and you're pretty sure your toe just kissed a rock the wrong way. You don't stop. After 10 minutes, you're shaking. After 20, your body feels hollowed out, like you're running on borrowed time and pure fear. But it works. The reindeer slows. Then, incredibly, it stumbles. A spear flies from the right. Not yours. It strikes shallow, glancing off a rib. The beast bellows in pain. You raise yours, aim. And miss. Your spear sticks into a tree like a bitter joke. The reindeer, bleeding now, tries to run again, but the old woman is already there. Her throw is clean, brutal, final. The animal collapses, legs twitching once, then still. Silence returns. No one cheers. No one high-fives. You just stand there, panting, staring at the carcass like it might still get up. Eventually, the group approaches. The kill is inspected, prodded, circled. Cuts are planned. Meat is divided. You retrieve your stuck spear without saying a word. Someone, maybe the old woman, maybe not, hands you a chunk of steaming liver straight from the animal. Still warm. Still wet. You eat it without thinking. It's awful. Metallic. Textured like regret. But it's the first thing you've eaten all day. And it means you were part of the kill. That matters. Back in the shelter, this story will be told with eye contact and grunts. You'll be allowed closer to the fire tonight. Maybe not praised, but acknowledged. Which, in Neanderthal terms, is practically a standing ovation. And here's a strange fact: scientists still debate whether Neanderthals hunted in organized groups or more opportunistically. Whether they planned ambushes, or just got lucky with big sticks and big courage. But from the ache in your legs and the blood on your hands, you're pretty sure this wasn't luck. This was earned. As the group begins preparing to drag the carcass back, stripping what they can, tying tendons into loops for hauling, you take one last look at the scene. Blood in the snow. Steam rising from torn muscle. Ravens already gathering in the trees. And you think, one more day you didn't die. That's enough, for now. The meat is heavy, and the ropes dig into your fingers. Dragging a dead reindeer across half-frozen terrain isn't heroic, it's just exhausting. Your legs are already shot from the chase, and now your shoulders are joining the protest. Every few minutes, someone grunts and adjusts the bindings, but no one suggests stopping. You're close to camp. And the smell of blood is traveling faster than you are. Predators know what that means. By the time the shelters come into view, your arms are numb. Your brain is fuzzy. But your heart? It's doing victory laps. You're bringing back meat. You're useful today. That should buy you, 2 days of not being ignored. The others in camp stir at the sound of dragging. Some rise slowly from crouches near the fire. Others crawl from sleeping hides like half-buried insects. The little girl is still playing with her tuft of fur. She doesn't notice the prize you've brought back. But the adults do. And in this world, they're the ones who matter. The reindeer is laid out near the center. A few grunts, a few gestures, and the work begins. Tools come out, stone blades, sharpened bone scrapers, flint flakes. There's no ceremony. Just efficiency. Cut, peel, pull, strip. Muscle, sinew, fat, hide. Everything gets used. Everything has to be used. You've seen it before, of course. But today, you're allowed closer. Close enough to feel the heat rising from the still warm corpse. Close enough to help. Your hands shake, not from fear, but from the thrill of permission. Someone hands you a blade. A chipped flake of obsidian tied to a short handle. Razor sharp, despite its primitive look. You start scraping away at the hide, awkward at first. The smell is intense: wet fur, hot blood, sharp iron. You try not to gag. There's a rhythm to it. Scrape, slice, peel. Eventually your hands begin to find it. The old man who never speaks watches you for a long time. Then, with a grunt that could mean anything from good enough to "you're still terrible," he walks away. Somehow, you feel taller. Later, once the butchering is done, the real lesson begins. Crafting. Because meat feeds you for a day. But tools keep you alive. Someone shows you how to split tendon into fibers. You soak them in water, stretch them, twist them together into something like cord. It smells like death, but feels like survival. You bind a flint point to a short shaft using that cord. The woman next to you grunts once in approval. That's basically applause. You're handed a broken scraper. Your job: fix it. Re-chip the edge. You hold the stone in one hand, strike it with another. Sparks fly. Too strong. The tip cracks off. She takes it from you without a word. Demonstrates. A soft, angled tap. The kind of hit that's more like a caress. The edge she creates is wickedly sharp. Then she hands it back. You try again. This time, it works. Historians are still unsure whether Neanderthals taught each other consciously, or if learning was just mimicry over time. Did they point and explain? Or did they simply do, and expect you to watch and figure it out? Now you know. They don't explain. You observe. You copy. And if you fail enough times, they just stop letting you try. But not today. You finish your tool. It's not perfect. But it's yours. Someone gestures for you to join a few others near the fire. You sit down. They pass you a piece of roasted meat, already blackened at the edges. It's gamey, smoky, and tough, but it's warm. And no one is pushing you away from the flames. That's something. The fire pops. Sparks fly. You stare into it and realize this isn't just about staying warm. It's a symbol. A tool. A meeting place. A boundary. Nothing in the wild crosses fire. And nothing in your camp happens without it. You glance down at your hands. Dirt under your nails. Blood in the creases. You smell like smoke and wet fur. You've got blisters from your first real spear throw, and your back is sore from dragging. And yet, you feel okay. For the first time in a while, you're not just surviving. You're part of something. Maybe not a family. Maybe not a tribe. But a group that didn't leave you behind. And in Neanderthal terms, that's as close to love as it gets. One of the elders reaches over and hands you a chunk of reindeer fat wrapped in bark. It's for later. A snack. Or maybe a thank you. Or maybe just because you earned it. You hold it like a medal. And you think, if you can keep making tools like this, maybe you won't end up as bones in some forgotten cave after all. The ground shakes before you hear anything. It's subtle at first, just a low, pulsing tremor that rattles the bone tools in your pouch. Like the earth is clearing its throat. You freeze, mid-step. The others do too. No one speaks. No one ever speaks when the ground does. Then the sound follows, a kind of distant thunder, but not from the sky. It's heavy. Rhythmic. Something massive is moving nearby, and it's moving fast. You grip your spear tighter. You've heard stories, well, not stories, because Neanderthals don't really sit around the fire and swap tales. But there are looks, gestures, warnings. You've seen the scars. And you've seen the skulls. Woolly rhinoceros. Bigger than you imagined. Built like fury on 4 legs. Skin as thick as silence. A horn that could pierce a boulder. And not particularly known for its gentle nature. You crouch low with the others in the brush. The leader, the same wiry woman from the reindeer hunt, lifts her chin slowly, nostrils flaring. She's reading the air like a book you never learned to open. Then she points. Across the open field is a small clearing where snow has melted in patches, revealing hard ground and scrub. And there it is. The rhino. It's bigger than anything you've ever seen on land. Covered in shaggy fur, with muscles that look carved from frozen tree trunks. Its horn curves forward like a question you do not want to answer. It doesn't see you. Yet. And the crazy thing is, you're not backing away. You're going to try and kill it. This is not a casual hunt. This is calculated madness. But the tribe needs fat, hide, meat, bone, everything this beast has. And you? You need to prove yourself again. Yesterday's kill fades fast. Out here, you're only as valuable as your last contribution. The plan is loose. 2 will draw it forward. 3 will flank. You're one of the 3. You're still not sure whether that's an honor or a punishment. The wind shifts. You smell it now, strong, wild, unbothered. It snorts and paws the ground. Maybe it senses something. Maybe it just hates the snow. You're not about to psychoanalyze a 1-ton prehistoric monster. Then, a cry. Not a scream, just a loud, sharp grunt from the lead hunter. It echoes like a whip crack. The beast turns. Time bends. Everything happens at once. It charges. You've never seen something that big move so fast. It tears across the clearing like a nightmare on hooves. Snow explodes under its feet. Branches snap like twigs. 2 hunters dash left, drawing it away from the group. 1 slips, barely recovers. You're running now, circling wide, spear in hand, lungs full of knives. You catch its side. Just for a moment. That's your chance. You throw. The spear arcs, not graceful, not perfect, but it hits. Not deep, but it sticks. The rhino bellows in rage. Not pain. Just rage. It whirls, turning toward you now. Great. Fantastic. You backpedal as fast as you can. Another spear flies from the right, it lands clean, behind the shoulder. The beast stumbles. And then, it keeps going. It's not giving up. You dive behind a fallen log as it thunders past, inches away. Its breath steams like a forge. Its eyes are wide, wild, prehistoric in every sense of the word. You press your body into the snow, not even daring to breathe. The ground shakes as it turns again. But it's weakening. Another spear. Another cut. It slows. Then, finally, it stops. Stands. And falls. The crash is like a small earthquake. For a long time, no one moves. You're all panting, hands on knees, hearts rattling in your chests like stones in a drum. Someone laughs, short, sharp, disbelieving. Then another grunt. A nod. And slowly, the group approaches. The woolly rhino lies still, steam rising from its massive body, dark blood pooling beneath it. It doesn't seem real. But you touch it, and the warmth under your palm says otherwise. You did it. You all did it. And here's a strange historical truth. Some researchers believe Neanderthals may have deliberately driven large animals into traps, pits, narrow paths, even off cliffs. Others argue they couldn't have organized on that level. But as you stand there, surrounded by silence and blood and wide eyes, you know, organization doesn't need words. It just needs purpose. You help with the first cuts. The hide is thick as bark. The fat peels off in heavy slabs. The bone saws groan under the strain. Everything is slow. Deliberate. Sacred, in a way that has nothing to do with gods, and everything to do with not wasting what was so hard to earn. The sun is lower now. And when you look around, you realize something unexpected. They're looking at you. Not with admiration. Not with awe. Just acceptance. You threw your spear. You stood your ground. You didn't run when the monster came. You belong. For now. And that's enough. The decision to move comes with no discussion. One morning, the wind shifts, and by sundown, the camp is already being dismantled. No speeches. No packed lunches. Just a few short grunts from the elder with the broken nose, and the rest of you understand. We've taken what we can, and winter is coming harder. You don't ask where you're going. You just start gathering your things. Of course, your things consist of a fur wrap, 2 flint blades, 1 cracked spearhead, and a pouch of bones that might come in handy or might just rattle in your sleep. There's no sentimental sorting. Everything you carry must be useful, and you must be able to carry it. The shelters come down fast, hides rolled, bone frames snapped apart with practiced force. You help where you can. Even the children get assignments. Coals are carefully scooped into a fire pot, cords are coiled, scraps of dried meat are jammed into bark containers. Everything smells like smoke, blood, and damp fur. And then, you leave. The land stretches ahead, gray and endless. Snow still clings in patches. The sky stays sullen. You follow paths made not by roads but by memory, landmarks known only to those who've survived here longer than anyone remembers. Your feet ache quickly. The cold creeps up your legs like it's trying to have a conversation. And it's not even night yet. By dusk, the group stops in a narrow gully. It's sheltered by a ridge on one side and a cluster of broken trees on the other. It's not ideal, but it's better than out there. You immediately begin building a windbreak. Not because anyone tells you to, but because you've learned that if you don't move, the cold will. You tie a fir between 2 branches, wedge rocks into the corners. It flaps in the wind like it's annoyed with your craftsmanship. Someone nearby starts to spark a fire, flint, bark shavings, dried grass. You listen to the familiar rhythm, strike, pause, strike again. Eventually, it catches. The warmth is pitiful at first, more promise than comfort, but still, it draws everyone in. You sit close, cross-legged, hands out. The flames sting your cracked skin, and it feels amazing. That's the thing about Neanderthal nights. They aren't quiet. They sound quiet, at first. But if you listen closer, the silence is full. Full of creaks, groans, distant howls. The wind, the shifting trees, the heavy breath of something big just out of sight. Tonight is no different. You sit by the fire with a strip of dried rhino meat in your hand, gnawing like a dog. It's tough. A little smoky. A little bitter. Honestly, it tastes like punishment, but it's warm punishment, and that's all you can ask for. The little girl is asleep, bundled in hide, clutching her knotted tuft of fur. One of the older hunters sits nearby, sharpening his bone hook for the 3rd time. Not because it needs it. Just because routine helps him not think about the dark. The fire crackles. Someone passes you a heated stone to tuck under your furs. You don't even know who, it just appears in your lap, still warm from the flames. You accept it without a word. That's how kindness works out here, quiet, unspoken, easily taken back if you don't deserve it. Then a sound breaks the quiet. A soft growl. Not close. Not far. You all freeze, ears tilted like animals. It's probably a cave lion. Or a dire wolf. Or something else you do not want a second encounter with. No one panics. Panic is for people with time to waste. The fire is fed quickly. Embers pop and flare. Spears are kept close. 2 guards will stay awake, taking turns through the night. You're not chosen. You've proven yourself, but you haven't reached that level yet. Still, you don't sleep right away. You lie under your fur wrap, curled in the dirt, with your feet pressed against someone else's for warmth. You stare at the firelight flickering on the gully wall, shadows dancing like silent warnings. The wind whistles through branches, like it's telling stories you're not ready to hear. And here's an odd fact, archaeologists still argue whether Neanderthals had camps the way modern humans do, or if they just followed the herds. But right now, lying under the stars with a fire at your feet and someone else breathing nearby, you're not thinking about definitions. You're thinking, this feels like home. At least for the night. Your body hurts. Your skin is filthy. There's something sharp digging into your back. But for once, you don't care. You close your eyes, listen to the fire crackle and the wind hum, and drift somewhere just beyond exhaustion. And if something in the dark is watching, well, maybe it's cold too. You wake to tension. It isn't a sound that rouses you, it's the absence of one. No crackling fire, no quiet rustle of movement. Just stillness, heavy and expectant, like the world has hit pause and is waiting to see what happens next. You open your eyes slowly. Everyone is awake, but no one is speaking. The hunters are crouched low, weapons in hand. The children are huddled in the center of the group, covered with hides. Even the elder with the broken nose is alert, jaw clenched, flint blade resting across his knee. Something is wrong. Then you see it, just beyond the trees, half shrouded in mist and morning light. People. Not yours. Another band. 5, no, 6 of them, moving quietly across the ridge above your camp. They're not hiding, not running. But they're not smiling either. Their furs are rougher. Their faces harder. One carries a spear that looks like it's seen more blood than peace. For a moment, no one moves. You know enough to understand what's happening. This isn't an attack. Yet. It's a test. They're seeing if you're weak. Seeing if you're worth challenging or worth avoiding. No one's drawn blood, but the balance here is as thin as bark. You shift slightly, hand drifting toward your own spear. Not to throw. Just to have. To show them you're not prey. Everyone else does the same. You're all mirrors, waiting to see who blinks first. And just like that, the moment passes. The group on the ridge moves on, slipping between trees like smoke. No words exchanged. No gestures. Just a mutual, silent agreement, not today. You let out the breath you didn't know you were holding. Back in the camp, the tension doesn't fade, it just settles, like dust. The fire is rebuilt slowly. No one laughs. No one jokes. The children are quieter than usual. Everyone moves with a new edge of caution. You've heard of these tribes. Some of them are just like yours, cold, hungry, tired, doing what they must. But others? Others are desperate. Or worse, comfortable. And the comfortable ones don't share. They take. The elders huddle around the fire and exchange low grunts and glances. You know the look. It means one thing, move again. Find a new place. Keep ahead of the shadow. But before that can happen, you're assigned a different task, guard duty. It's your first time. You don't argue. You just take the bone-tipped spear handed to you, wrap yourself tighter in furs, and climb the ridge to watch. From up here, the valley looks peaceful. But you know better now. Peace, in this world, is just the space between threats. You settle into a crouch and let your eyes scan the horizon. Every rustle in the bushes, every snapping branch, it all means something now. You're no longer a quiet mouth hoping for meat. You're part of the line that keeps the tribe from becoming a story told in bones. Historians still debate whether Neanderthals had organized conflict. Did they wage war? Did they raid? Or did they just vanish into the cold, one by one? From your perch on the ridge, you wonder if that distinction matters. If a spear in the dark feels different depending on whether it came from survival or spite. The sun climbs higher. The light makes the trees glitter, but it doesn't warm anything. Below, the group begins to pack again. Hides rolled, tools bundled. You'll be moving within the hour. And maybe that's what being Neanderthal is, motion. Always between hunger and hope, fire and frost, strangers and home. You don't see the other tribe again. But you'll remember the shape of them on the ridge, the silence that weighed down your camp, the look in their eyes that said, "We see you, but we don't trust you." You stay at your post until the last of the group is ready to leave. Then you climb down, rejoin the others, and walk. Not away from danger, just ahead of it, for one more day. The wind starts talking just after midday. At first, it's just a whisper, a chill that snakes down the back of your neck and makes you pull your fur tighter. But soon, the whisper becomes a growl. Then a howl. Then something worse. Snow. Not gentle flakes drifting from the sky like in those romantic paintings people in the future will make. No. This snow attacks. It comes sideways, sharp-edged, stinging your face, biting through every layer like it knows exactly where you're weakest. You can barely see the person walking ahead of you. Your group huddles tighter, moving like one big, shivering animal. The wind screams through the trees. Branches snap overhead like bones. Visibility drops to nothing. Then someone spots it, a dark shape in the rock face. A cave. Not big. Not deep. But it's something. You don't vote. You don't discuss. You move. One by one, everyone ducks inside, out of the wind. You're among the last. Your hands are numb, your fur is stiff with frost, and you can't feel your nose. Inside, it's darker than it should be. Still. A strange kind of silence that makes your skin crawl. But at least it's out of the storm. You collapse near the back, gasping, trying to get your breath back. The others do the same. A small fire is coaxed to life, barely enough to see by, but enough to warm fingers, enough to calm the panic humming in your bones. And that's when you notice it. The marks. Scratched into the stone walls. Not recent. Not fresh. But clear. Lines, shapes, handprints. Some smeared. Some deliberate. And some that make your chest tighten in a way you can't explain. Someone lived here. Before you. They left a record. Not words. Not stories. But signs. Like they were saying, we were here too. We tried. We endured. You crawl closer, run your fingers over the grooves. One set of handprints is much smaller than yours. A child. Another figure, a bison, maybe? Or a rhino. It's hard to tell. The edges are worn by time. But the meaning remains. This was their shelter. And now, for tonight, it's yours. A hush falls over the group. Not fear. Not awe. Something softer. The fire crackles, casting shadows that bring the cave paintings to life. The animals seem to move. The hands seem to reach. You feel like you're being watched, but not in a threatening way. Just remembered. You settle in near the wall, eyes fixed on the art. You wonder who made it. What happened to them? If they froze here, same as you almost did. Or if they moved on. Survived. Became someone's ancestor. Archaeologists today still argue whether Neanderthals created symbolic art, or whether it was all accidental, scratches from tools, nothing more. But you're here now. And you know. These weren't accidents. This was memory. This was proof. This was hope. The storm howls outside, battering the cave mouth like it wants in. But inside, you're warm. Federal safe. For tonight. The little girl sleeps with her back to the wall, her tiny hand pressed unconsciously against the ancient print. The older hunters sit with their tools in their laps, sharpening slowly, watching the flames like they might explain something. You lie back, stare up at the cave ceiling. A long, curling line above your head looks like a river, or a snake, or a road. You think, maybe that's all life is, in this world. One long line. Just try not to fall off the edge. The fire dims. The wind softens. And sleep comes, not quickly, but kindly. You dream of handprints reaching through stone. The storm dies without fanfare. No dramatic hush, no sudden ray of sunshine, just a slow fading, like a song ending in the middle of a note. You wake to quiet. That kind of quiet that feels wrong, like the world's holding its breath. The entrance of the cave is covered in a thick white drift. You dig out with numb fingers, scraping at packed snow until the opening widens enough to crawl through. And then you see it. A world remade in white. The trees are bowed under the weight. The ground is gone, just a sheet of blinding frost stretching in every direction. The sky is flat and gray, like someone forgot to paint it. You blink, trying to find a horizon. There isn't one. Just endless stillness. One by one, the others emerge. No one says anything. They just stand there, watching their breath billow out in clouds. You're all animals, blinking into the void, trying to figure out whether it's safer to stay put or to move. Eventually, the decision is made. It always is. You head north, or what you think is north, using the curve of the ridge as your guide. The snow crunches under your feet in that satisfying, slightly cruel way. Every step feels earned. Like you're walking through time, not just landscape. And then, the bones. You almost miss them. They don't jump out at you, not at first. They rise slowly from the snow like the tips of ancient mountains. Huge. Arched. Bleached by wind and sun and years. You approach cautiously. It's a skeleton. But not just any skeleton. A mammoth. A massive one. Larger than any you've seen, even in stories told by firelight. The skull alone could house 5 people. The tusks curve like frozen rivers, chipped in places, one half buried under a drift. It's been dead a long time, but not that long. Some of the bone still carries a tinge of color. Bits of fur cling to the spine, like ghosts that refuse to leave. You stand there, staring. And something inside you shifts. Because here's a fact they won't teach in future classrooms: Neanderthals didn't always kill what they found. Sometimes, they found the dead and learned from them. Examined the scene. Read the land like a page in a book that only the cold could write. You circle the carcass. The old man with the axe-toothed necklace kneels beside the ribs, pokes at the frozen ground with a flint shard. Looking for signs. Was it hunted? Did it die of sickness? Was it caught in the storm like you were? The group spreads out, silently investigating. One of the hunters finds a patch of trampled earth under the snow, deep grooves, crushed moss. Something happened here. But no one's sure what. And that uncertainty? It hangs in the air like smoke. You reach up and touch the rib cage. It's taller than you. Colder than ice. It hums with old weight, like it's holding a memory it refuses to share. You can't help but wonder, if this creature once walked where you now stand, what else still does? Because death isn't the only thing that leaves traces. Farther along, someone finds tracks. Fresh ones. Not mammoth. Not deer. Not even wolf. Bigger. 3-toed. Heavy. Deep. The kind of print that makes people stop breathing without realizing it. A long pause follows. Then the elder stands and makes a sharp motion, move. Now. You don't argue. You turn away from the bones and follow, casting one last glance over your shoulder. The mammoth skeleton looms, half wrapped in mist, a monument to something too large to fully understand. Historians still argue whether Neanderthals believed in spirits or gods. Whether they had rituals. Whether they feared what they could not see. You're not sure what you believe. But as you walk away, quickening your pace, you feel it, that pull behind your ribcage, like eyes on your back. Like something very old just noticed you. And chose not to speak. The air changes first. You don't notice it right away, not until someone shrugs off their outer fur and doesn't start shivering. Then another follows. Soon, even your fingers, stiff and aching for days, begin to loosen. Your breath still puffs out in clouds, but the sting is gone. The cold is retreating. And then you smell it. Not fire. Not rot. Something earthy. Wet stone, minerals, something faintly sour, like damp clay baking in the sun. You crest a ridge and see it below, steam rising in long ribbons from a rocky hollow. Pools of water, clear, bubbling slightly, dot the basin like forgotten offerings. The heat is visible, dancing above the surface like a quiet promise. A hot spring. You don't run toward it. You approach, slowly, like it might vanish if you're too eager. But it doesn't. The heat gets stronger. Your skin tingles. And for once, survival doesn't feel like punishment. Clothes are shed, furs peeled off, spears laid aside but kept within reach, because nobody really trusts peace. But for a moment, you let your guard down. You step into the water. It's indescribable. Your body reacts before your mind does. The warmth seeps into your bones like it was always meant to be there. You sink in slowly, muscles unclenching, cuts stinging gently, feet twitching like startled fish. Around you, others slip into different pools. The old man who hasn't smiled since autumn actually exhales through his nose like he's almost pleased. The children splash carefully, laughing in short bursts like they're afraid someone might take the sound away. You lean back against the smooth rock. Close your eyes. And for once, you don't think about wolves. Or cold. Or hunger. You just float. You even laugh, quietly. A real laugh. The kind that bubbles up from a place you forgot existed. The spring feels sacred. But not in a godly way. More like the land itself is whispering, here. Just for a moment. Rest. And here's a rare truth. Scientists have found Neanderthal remains near geothermal sites, suggesting they may have known, even then, how to follow the warmth underground. Maybe they stumbled upon it by chance. Maybe they remembered. Maybe it became part of their migration rhythm, like the mammoth trails and reindeer patterns. Either way, you understand now. Warmth like this isn't a luxury. It's a strategy. As the light begins to fade, you dry off beside the fire, smoke curling into the cold air just beyond the heat bubble of the springs. You eat soft, hot root mash from a bark bowl. Someone passes you a bone cup of warm, sour broth. It burns going down in the best way. No one says much. But everyone's breathing easier. Even the elder with the missing fingers leans back on his elbow, eyes half-lidded like a bear in a dream. The little girl holds her tuft of fur like it's a secret. She's drawn something in the dirt, circles, spirals, loops. Maybe it's art. Maybe it's just play. But nobody tells her to stop. Night falls. You settle into a shallow hollow near the warmest edge of the spring, wrapped in your furs. The stone beneath you is still radiating heat. Your body sighs. But here's the catch. You know this won't last. Warmth is a gift. And gifts out here always come with teeth. Maybe predators know this place too. Maybe another band follows your tracks. Maybe the water changes, boils, cools, poisons. You've seen it all. So even as you drift to sleep, skin warm and full for the first time in weeks, you don't let go completely. You dream shallow. You dream fast. Because comfort is fleeting. And Neanderthals? You never forget the cold is coming back. But for tonight, you sleep without shaking. The warmth doesn't leave all at once. It retreats in whispers. A colder breeze creeps into your sleeping hollow, the stone under your back loses its gentle heat, and when you reach for your fur wrap in the dark, your fingers find it rimmed with frost. By morning, the hot springs are steaming less. The pools, once your momentary heaven, now bubble slower, like they're forgetting their own warmth. Your breath comes out in long, tired clouds again. Everyone feels it. The group moves slower, packing up, reluctant to leave what now seems like a fever dream. A few people linger near the water, dipping their fingers in as if hoping it might turn warm again, like maybe they imagined the whole thing. But you can't stay. The world doesn't let you stay in good places. So you leave. You walk. Cold again. Hungry again. Blisters breaking open again. And that's when you see them. At first, you think it's your own group, somehow circling back ahead of you. You blink hard. Squint. But no. These people are not yours. They look almost like you, fur-wrapped, stone-tooled, small-banded. But different. They stand straighter. Their furs are more layered, more stitched. Their tools have cleaner lines. They carry themselves with an ease that feels foreign to you. One of them sees you from across the clearing. And smiles. But it's not a greeting. It's recognition. And something colder. This is the other you. The new you. The one evolution wrote next. Cro-Magnons. Early Homo sapiens. Whatever label the future decides to give them, you just know them as this. People who are going to replace you. Your group halts. So do they. For a moment, it's just two tribes standing across a frozen silence, mirror images, separated by the thinnest sliver of time and fate. You clutch your spear. So do they. But there's a longer, straighter, hardened by fire. You don't breathe. And then one of them steps forward. Slowly. Deliberately. No weapon drawn. He reaches into a pouch and pulls out something smooth. Pale. Round. An ornament. A bead? A carved shell? It's too far to see clearly, but the shape is unmistakably useless, which means it's important. He places it on the ground between you. Then he backs away. Your group doesn't move. The elder with the broken nose grunts. The woman who led the rhino hunt narrows her eyes. The little girl peeks from behind someone's legs, clutching her fur tuft tight enough to fray it. You're the one who steps forward. Your knees tremble, but not from fear. You pick up the object. It's warm from his hand. Lighter than you expect. Bone, maybe. Carefully carved. A spiral cut into its surface. Meaningful. But what it means, you can't say. And here's the thing, anthropologists still debate whether Neanderthals and early Homo sapiens fought, or traded, or mated. Maybe all of the above. Maybe none. The fossil record is messy. But standing here, holding the spiral bead in your palm, one truth rings louder than the rest. They are not like you. And they are. You return to your group. No battle. Not today. The others look at the object, then at you, then at the trees where the strangers vanished. You move on. Carrying the bead. Carrying the knowledge. Carrying the ache of knowing that something else is rising, something faster, more coordinated, more inevitable. You don't hate them. But deep down, you wonder. When the cold returns for the last time, will they remember you? The woman doesn't wake up. At first, no one reacts. That's normal. Sleep is sacred out here, rare and deep and never long enough. But when her son nudges her a second time, harder, and she still doesn't stir, the silence that follows is different. Final. Your group knows. Instantly. There's no wailing. No tearing of hair. Just stillness. One by one, people draw back from the fire, letting the morning light fall on her unmoving face. She looks peaceful, if that word even makes sense out here. Her hands are folded under her chin. Her fur wrap still clings to her shoulders. No wounds. No signs of pain. Just a body that gave everything, and then stopped. She was one of the quiet ones. Not old, not young. She scraped hides and mended tools. She carried her son through deep snow the day his feet froze. You never heard her laugh. But once, she gave you a boiled root without being asked. That's something. You watch the boy crouch beside her. He doesn't cry. He just places her small, polished flint blade on her chest. A gesture. Or a gift. Or a way to mark the moment, even if he doesn't understand why. And then the group begins the ritual. If you can even call it that. There are no songs. No speeches. But actions, those you do. Actions that have meaning, because they've been repeated again and again, long before anyone thought to write them down. First, the clearing. A few of the stronger hunters move to a nearby hill where the ground is soft enough to work. They dig, not deep. Just enough. A shallow basin carved into frozen soil, lined with smooth stones. It's slow. Brutal. No tools, just hands and shards and muscle. Second, the body. She's wrapped tighter. Her fur's retied. A few of her things placed inside, her blade, her scraper, a tiny animal tooth she used to wear around her neck. They brush the dirt from her brow. One person touches her face gently, like closing the chapter of a story that will never be told. Third, the farewell. The group walks her to the place in silence. And lays her down. No crosses. No flames. Just sky above and stone below. And for a moment, that's enough. You stay back. You're not sure if you're allowed. But then one of the elders, the one with the cracked front tooth, waves you closer. So you go. And you watch as they place one final object near her head, a red stone. Ochre. Powdered and pressed into a small bowl shape. A color too vibrant for this world of grays and browns. You don't know what it means. But it feels like something. Some scholars argue that Neanderthals buried their dead intentionally. Others say it was just disposal. A necessity. But as you kneel beside this quiet grave, with red ochre staining the rocks and furs arranged just so, you understand. This is not disposal. This is remembrance. The boy says nothing. But he kneels beside the stones and places his palm flat on the earth. A final goodbye. Or a first step forward. The wind picks up. You return to camp. No one talks for the rest of the day. Tasks are still done. Tools still sharpened. Food still shared. But something is missing. Not just a person, a shape in the rhythm of survival. You sit near the fire that night and stare at the flickering light. And you think, someday, that might be you. Maybe soon. Maybe not. But someday. And if you're lucky, maybe someone will lay you down gently. Place your things near you. Paint the ground with red. Press their hand to the dirt above your chest. And remember, just for a moment, that you were here. The sky is boiling gray again, and the wind carries the scent of more snow. The group's been moving since before dawn, and your legs are threatening mutiny. Every rock looks like a place to stop, but none offer real shelter, just cracks in the cold. Until someone nearly disappears into one. A boy, too fast, too curious, steps wrong and slips. His shout echoes oddly, not from the cliffside, but from beneath it. You rush to the spot. There's a fissure in the limestone, wide enough for a person to pass through sideways. Barely. When the wind dies down, you can hear something from inside. Not water. Not animals. Nothing. That strange, still silence again, the kind that presses at your ears and makes your skin itch. Which, of course, means, go in. You enter carefully. The stone narrows at first, forcing you to stoop, but soon opens into a wide chamber. Others follow. Torches are lit. Shadows leap across the walls in strange, frantic patterns. The air is warmer inside. Not pleasant, damp, like breath trapped underground, but a reprieve from the wind. Then you hear it, dripping. A slow, steady rhythm. You move deeper. And then you see them. The walls are covered in black. Not soot. Not mold. Marks. Lines. Smudges. Shapes. Some recognizable, animals, hands, trees. Others are stranger, spirals, jagged patterns, rows of dots that seem to follow you when you move. They're old. Older than any story you've ever been told. Someone, many someones, came here before you. They painted. They carved. They made something last. One shape draws your eye, a human figure. Arms upraised. No face. Just an open circle where the head should be. You stare at it for too long, and your stomach flips. It's just a drawing. Right? Then you hear the echo. Not yours. It comes from deeper in the cave. Not a growl. Not a word. Just a soft, distant hum. You freeze. So does everyone else. You strain your ears, but it's gone. You try to laugh. Shrug it off. Blame the acoustics. The cave is tricking your senses, like caves love to do. But part of you remembers every campfire story you haven't heard, because no one dares to tell them. The boy who slipped in now stands very still. His eyes are wide. You ask what's wrong, but he just points to the floor. There's another handprint. Smaller than his. Fresh. No pigment. Just a damp impression of fingers in the dirt. Like someone pressed down recently. There's no one else here. At least, no one you see. You gather the group quickly. Even the elders look uneasy. One of them scratches a symbol into the stone with a flint, like marking territory. Or asking permission. You're not sure which. Before you leave, you glance back at the figure on the wall. The faceless one. And you swear it's closer to the torchlight than before. Later, back in the cold, someone finally speaks. We don't return there. Just that. No explanation. And here's a real mystery. Some Neanderthal caves have markings too deep to be practical. Too hidden. Too strange. Were they rituals? Warnings? Stories? Or just art for the sake of not being forgotten? You don't know. But tonight, when you lie under your fur, you think of that handprint. That figure. That hum. You don't know what was deeper in that cave. But you're sure of this. Neanderthals didn't just fear predators, storms, or starvation. They feared the unknown. Just like you. Hunger changes the air. It makes people quieter, sharper, slower, but not in a way that's restful. You move like your limbs belong to someone else. Your thoughts come thick and heavy, as though dragging through snow. Even your breath feels thinner, like the air itself is stingier. No one says it aloud, but everyone knows, the food is gone. The dried meat is finished. The bitter roots, scraped from the frostbitten earth, are gone. The marrow has been sucked from every bone. The only thing left is a single strip of hide that someone chews, not to eat, but to trick their mouth into feeling useful. You haven't eaten in, 2 days? 3? Time doesn't pass in hours anymore. It passes in the tightening of your stomach. In the way your skin stretches strangely over your knuckles. In the way your thoughts start looping in odd directions. Like, what would a crow taste like? Or if I boiled bark long enough, would it become soup? And then there's the boy. The one who lost his mother. He hasn't spoken since the burial. But he follows the group. He listens. He watches. Today, he finally speaks. There's something moving. I saw it. A hope? Or a hallucination? The group turns to him. Even the elder with the cracked tooth leans in. No one dares hope anymore. But maybe. You and 2 others are chosen to scout. You move through brittle trees, branches snapping like bones underfoot. The snow is deep. The wind bites. You scan every patch of earth, every brush of movement in the distance. Then, tracks. Real ones. Not ancient. Not yours. Big, rounded prints with 2 deep toe marks. A boar, maybe? Or something close. The kind of creature that could feed your entire group for days, if you catch it. If it doesn't kill you. You follow. Heart pounding, mouth dry, limbs aching. You spot it just before dusk. A beast. Slower than usual. Maybe sick. Or starving, just like you. It roots through the snow, grunting softly. You grip your spear. The others fan out. You all know this dance, this ritual. One throws a rock. The animal jerks. You charge. Your feet slip, your breath explodes out in steam, your arms tremble from weakness, but you move. The animal sees you. It bolts. But too late. Your first spear hits its side, not deep. The second lands closer to the neck. It stumbles. The third? It ends it. The snow runs dark. Later, you carry the meat back wrapped in hide. No one cheers. No one claps. Just tired nods. Sighs of something close to relief. And then, preparation. It's a blur of motion. Fires are stoked. Stones heated. Fat rendered. The smell alone nearly drops you to your knees, rich, greasy, alive. You eat in silence. Hot meat. Tender in some parts, burnt in others. Doesn't matter. Every bite lights something ancient behind your eyes. The child eats beside you, chewing slowly, blinking like he forgot what full feels like. And here's a truth often overlooked: Neanderthals didn't always starve. They were skilled hunters. But when hunger came, it didn't arrive politely. It arrived all at once, cruel and loud. And it asked hard questions. That night, someone admits they almost gave up. Two others nod. You don't speak. But you know, if that beast hadn't appeared, something would have changed. Someone would have stopped walking. And that's the unspoken law of your world. Not everyone makes it. Some feed others in the end. Whether they want to or not. The fire crackles. The boy smiles, just a little. And your group sleeps with full stomachs for the first time in a week. You dream of abundance. Of hunts that never fail. Of warmth that never fades. But even in the dream, you know, this, too, will pass. Everything does. The world thaws. It doesn't announce itself with flowers or birdsong. It begins with something smaller. The wind softens. The snow recedes in patches, revealing stubborn blades of green. A trickle of meltwater threads through stone, carving quiet trails that shimmer in morning light. And you feel it in your bones first. Not warmth, exactly. Just less cold. Enough that your hands stop shaking when you tie sinew. Enough that your breath doesn't sting quite as much in the early dawn. Enough that hope begins to stir, not loudly, not with celebration. Just a cautious nod from the world that maybe, it won't kill you today. You walk differently now. Straighter. Heavier with strength. The group moves with a rhythm again. The little girl hums while she walks. The boy, the one who saw the boar, he laughs when he slips on mud for the first time in weeks. Mud. You had forgotten it existed. The forest returns. Slowly, the game trails pulse with new movement. Hare. Elk. Birds. Life edges back into the cracks winter left behind. And with it comes a question no one dares voice out loud. What comes next? You sit at a ridge one night, watching the sun linger longer than usual on the horizon. The sky is orange, bruised with purple. You think about what you've seen. What you've lost. What you carry. That bead, the spiral one the other tribe left behind, you still have it. You take it from the pouch at your waist and roll it in your fingers. It's smooth now. Worn from handling. But its shape hasn't changed. It still curves inward, loops back on itself. Like a path that never ends. Or maybe a question that no one knows how to answer. You wonder if they still watch you. The other humans. The newer ones. The ones who'll build walls and cities and stories that stretch far beyond your firelight. Will they remember you? Some scientists say Neanderthals disappeared. Others say they merged. Interbred. became a part of the new world without ever knowing it. Their bones are in our bones. Their stories hidden in the tilt of a nose, the shape of a brow, the ache in a joint before rain. Maybe that's true. Maybe somewhere, someone will sit beside a fire and laugh in a way you did. Maybe a child will draw a spiral in the dirt without knowing why. Maybe they'll find your cave someday, see your handprint, and feel something stir behind their ribs. You don't know. But tonight, there's no hunger. No storm. No fear clawing at your chest. Just you. And your tribe. And the quiet hum of a world that, just for a moment, feels gentle. The old man with the cracked tooth hands you a tool and nods. It's not a command. It's a choice. Build something. And so you do. You begin. Stone. Bark. Bone. A frame, a place. A hint that this spot might matter. That you were here. And when you press your hand into the mud wall, just once, you leave your mark. Not to say I conquered. Not to say I ruled. Just to say, I existed. Underscore 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 underscore. Underscore 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 underscore. Softly now. Let go. The world you've walked through fades behind your eyes. The snow. The fire. The hum of wind through pine. The slow crunch of mammoth bones under frost. The red ochre on stone. The echo of laughter in a cave too deep for maps. They're all fading. You're drifting now, through time. Through memory. Through a dream older than words. And if you listen closely, you might still hear it, the breath of someone like you, curled beneath firs, watching stars shift slowly across the heavens. You might not remember their name. But they remember you. Good night, traveler. You've walked far enough. End of script. Sweet dreams.